Then they have these they call them auditing sessions. And basically it's kind of like a confessional.
Cool.
Is one way to look at it. So, except they have a machine that they use that is made up.
Right.
Yeah. And
it's a toaster with some other stuff on it.
Pretty much. You're listening to Premeditated Opinions because, yes, we thought about it, and then we said it anyway. I'm Pamela.
And I'm Josh, and we are two people who somehow share a brain and decided to weaponize our brains with microphones. Each week, we unpack anything, from politics and religion to carpool dread and everything in between.
You know, it would really help us a lot if you followed us on Instagram and YouTube. Giving us a like and a follow is probably the best thing your thumbs will do today.
We are not experts. We are just way too confident in our own opinions. With all that being said, let's get started. So I was flipping through HBO not that long ago, and I stumbled on a documentary that a whole bunch of people had recommended to me called Going Clear, all about Scientology and some of the really weird and bizarre elements of that organization. And I know that you and I have kind of had some brief conversations about that in the past, but this has kind of come around and is something on your mind again. So what was kind of your on-ramp to your fascination with Scientology? And for the record, she is not a practicing Scientologist. Like, that is not what's happening. But no, I just know that it's a point of fascination. So how did you get there?
So, I think like most of us, we kind of heard about it, when Tom Cruise was on Oprah, and then every now and then it would kind of come up in, pop culture, this idea of religion and Scientology, and is Scientology a religion? And, it always kind of just was in the back of my mind and I just didn't think much of it. So when Leah Remini's book, Troublemaker, came out, I don't know, it sounded interesting, and I was like, I'd be interested in learning a little bit more about Scientology. And holy moly. So first of all, her book starts out amazing because she basically just lays out every sin she's committed, every horrible thing that she said, every thought that she's thought, like all of these things. Because essentially what Scientology will do is kind of, and we'll get a little more into this, but what they do is they take all of your secrets and hold them against you. So she is basically saying, here's all the mess.
Right. Yeah. She's controlling the narrative by sort of releasing all of this ahead of time so they don't have any dirt on her. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, I read that book and I was like,
did she do anything juicy?
I mean, there was definitely some things in there that you wouldn't normally probably put out in a book for the world to read.
Yeah.
But nothing super like salacious.
Okay.
I just had no idea. Like, and I think that's because they are very good at keeping this stuff under wraps.
Right. Yeah.
And they don't want people to see the dark underbelly of their quote unquote religion. That term is debatable when used to discuss Scientology. I just went down the whole rabbit hole of like, what is this? How did it start? And interestingly enough, my husband had already kind of done some of that research already. And so he was like, oh, listen to this podcast and do this. And he's like, oh yeah, like they're batshit crazy and like all these things. And people say that and you're like, okay, but like, what does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah.
My very first clue into how nuts this was is that L. Ron Hubbard, so the guy who started this organization,
Right.
was a science fiction writer.
Yeah. I remember hearing that at some point.
Yeah, and so immediately I'm like, wait a minute.
Right.
Like, when you think about religions, you think that they're, thousands of years old and I'd heard a little bit about there being like aliens and things involved. And I'm like, are you like, do people who join Scientology know this?
Right.
Like, do they know that this has basically been created by a sci-fi writer? And yeah, he was a very prominent sci-fi writer. Growing up, he wrote a lot of sci-fi short stories, and that's how he made money.
Huh.
When he was younger. And he was very talented in that ecosystem, I guess. And I don't know the exact origin of Scientology, but L. Ron Hubbard wrote a book called Dianetics. And it was basically kind of a self-help psychology book that he completely made up. Like,
here are all these self-help principles that I just concocted right now.
Yeah. So he started as Dianetics, and some people even say that it was pretty much a tax scheme. So he wanted to be able to basically make money and not pay taxes. So he created a religion. He managed to get it actually established as a religion. And the IRS saw it, as a religion, and he was tax exempt. And it still is to this day.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting because it very much follows the pattern of a cult. Cults have specific characteristics about them. And Scientology very much follows the prescription of a cult. But they manage to keep their religious status because they attack people individually.
Wow.
So they will find out who is affiliated, works for the IRS, someone who may have authority to either grant or remove their tax exempt status. They will hire PIs to basically dig up dirt on these people.
Oh my God.
And then harass them and scare them and threaten them. So that way, anytime the issue comes up of should they be tax exempt, they scare these people into submission. Like, it is terrifying.
Yeah.
It is terrifying. Like, that's why I've always been like a little nervous to even talk about or even write about Scientology, because I'm like, I don't want to get on a list. So
Right. Yeah.
here we are. But yeah.
I mean, so one of the things that I remember hearing, and I don't remember if it was from the Going Clear documentary or from something else, because I think John Oliver has done a Last Week Tonight episode on Scientology, but it's been quite a while. My memory on it's vague. But they've made some really fascinating business decisions along the way using their tax-exempt status and all of that. If I'm remembering this correctly, they bought up a ton of real estate. And aren't they like one of the largest real estate owners of any nonprofit or something like that? Like, I need to fact check that comment. I am not confident in that comment, but I remember there being a whole real estate component.
Yeah, there is. So how Scientology basically works is they prey on people, typically people who are, self-conscious or have low self-esteem or are just dealing with, big issues of what is my purpose and trying to kind of find something that they can belong to. And Scientology's got this really great way of basically kind of tapping into that and saying, we can provide you with purpose. Like, our mission is to what they call clear the world, which is basically eliminate it of sin, but the sin they call aliens. So these are little engrams, I think, and thetans are what they call them. Again, all made up by L. Ron Hubbard and his sci-fi background.
Yeah.
And you basically kind of go through these programs and this training to get rid of these aliens that are, in your body, in your mind. And
it makes perfect sense, really. I mean, when you lay it out like that, we definitely have aliens.
Yeah.
Like, it's a problem.
So what they do is you attend one of these sessions. They are very aggressive. So when they get a hold of your name and your information, like, they are very aggressive. If you show any kind of interest in Scientology, like you fill out a form online or anything, like, they will harass you.
Yeah.
Because I always kind of struggled with, like, how do people even get into this?
Yeah.
Like, what is the appeal here? Like, if somebody were to tell me, hey, come join this religion with me that was created by a sci-fi writer, like, I'd be like, you're out of your flipping mind. Like, especially to consider it a religion.
Right.
But, obviously they don't present it that way. It's very much a help us help you. And so when they kind of get to that, it's all sales.
Yeah.
It's all sales. So once they kind of get you to kind of buy into, hey, I want to explore more of this, they sell you courses.
Oh my gosh.
And so, they start small, like probably, and I don't know, like I'm going to say like probably $20, $30 or $100 or something. And you go through these courses and you learn about all the Scientology, language. They have their own, like, vocabulary. So you go through these courses, you start learning about how to become clear.
Right.
And unfortunately, like, in order to go clear, you have these different stages that you have to work yourself up toward. There's 8 stages. And of course, each stage has so many courses.
Right.
You got to go through those, and then and the higher you go up, the more expensive everything becomes. And essentially, the goal is to get to the very top, and you are invincible.
Right.
Like, you cannot get sick.
Right.
You cannot.
You glow a little bit.
Probably. Like, you learn about kind of like these upper tiers, which is interesting, because when he wrote Dianetics and started building out these programs, he had these top tiers, but he didn't even have them finished.
Oh, wow.
Like, he didn't even know. So, like, when you finally start getting
George R. Martin, like, he hadn't actually finished the work.
Exactly. Yep. Once you start in the program, they also have, so you get these books, you pay for these books, you pay for these courses, and it is time consuming. Like, it is demanding. Like, you have to go to one of these centers several times a week.
Wow.
You pretty much spend all of your free time going through these courses and getting these things done. They put a little bit of pressure on you to get them done pretty quickly. So that way they can basically just continue to keep selling you more and more of these courses. Gosh. And then they have these auditing, they call them auditing sessions. And basically it's kind of like a confessional.
Cool.
Is one way to look at it. So, except they have a machine that they use that is made up.
Right.
And
it's
so
a toaster with some other stuff on it.
Pretty much. So what they end up doing is having you tell them all their deepest, darkest secrets.
Ugh.
And they record all of that.
Yeah.
And they keep it in a file. And so to you as the consumer are sitting here thinking like, oh, I'm getting all this off my chest.
Right.
Like, this is, and I'm sure they do feel great afterwards. It's kind of like, okay, I got all of these lies and sins and things that I've done like off my chest. And it's all completely arbitrary because the auditor, the consumer doesn't see what the machine is doing. And I mean, the auditor is pretty much just like, Oh, that's a lie. Oh, that's a Thetan. Oh, that's not.
Wow.
That's that's one of your little aliens in there. Like we gotta get rid of that. So that is for kind of your typical consumer of Scientology. They prey on a couple of your weaknesses. They get you into the program, and then they basically drain your bank accounts and make you. They encourage people and help people sign up for credit cards in order to continue to pay for these courses and work your way up. And this is the really sad thing. Several people have made it after spending hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to get to the top. And then they get up there and they realize like it's all bullshit. Like they still get sick.
Right.
They still get cancer.
Right.
They still, are grappling with sin and all of these things. All the promises that were made just fail to materialize.
God.
Which is what Leah Remini's mom describes.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I think it's in the book. Honestly, I've done so much research on this. Like, I'm not sure, but either her mom talks about it in the book, or it could even be the show. Because there's a A&E show.
Oh, that's right. I remember hearing about that. I don't remember what it's
by
called.
By the Aftermath. They call it the Aftermath Foundation. But there was a show on A&E that Scientology, again, basically threatened the network with so many lawsuits. So they have their own attorneys.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, and they lawyer the hell up.
Yeah.
And those attorneys will sue for every single little thing. And so they ended up canceling the show because the network was getting all these threats.
It's shocking that they have enough legal horsepower to back down a major TV network. Like that's shocking.
Okay, so how many other religions lawyer up like that?
Right. I mean, the Mormon Church didn't lawyer up against the Book of Mormon musical, and boy, I've seen that musical, and
I'm not saying that churches don't have legal representation,
right,
but not to the extent.
Yeah.
That they have a whole department.
Yeah.
That deals with everything from the contracts that you sign to NDAs to litigation and anything else that you would need legal representation for. These are staffed positions.
Yeah. Which is bananas. So I remember hearing a headline, and I truly don't remember a lot of detail about this, but I remember hearing some kind of headline about how the leader of the Church of Scientology, his wife has been like missing for a shocking amount of time.
So that's David Miscavige.
Oh,
and his wife,
that's his name. Yeah.
His wife is Shelly Miscavige. We'll get to that in just a second.
Got it.
So you have that's kind of your typical off the street path. Now, you can join what they call the Sea Org. Let's say you get into Scientology and you just become dedicated. Like you're ready to just go all in.
Yeah, you're Tom Cruise in it.
You are. Actually, he's on a different track. He's on like a celebrity track.
Got it.
And so that's another piece of this. It's very convoluted.
Yeah.
So if you're just Joe Schmo and you basically want to kind of devote your life to Scientology, you almost like kind of becoming like clergy or going into a monastery. Like it's kind of how we can compare it. You join the Sea Org. And the Sea Org is the reason it's called the Sea Org. It's in Tampa, Florida. And it's on ships because international waters.
Oh, that's nefarious.
Yeah. These people sign what are called billion-year contracts.
Okay.
Because Scientology is multiple lifetimes. And the other thing, you can carry these little Thetan alien things with you for multiple lifetimes. So you're still kind of paying for the sins of your previous lifetimes. It's
That there's a lot going on.
oh yeah, they are given all of the courses for free, but you have to like live on the ship, live in the barracks, and you still have to pay for things, but you get very little pay. I mean, we're talking you're working 18 to 20 hours a day for maybe a couple of dollars an hour.
Good grief.
Or maybe $70 a week.
So you're trapped.
You are.
Yeah.
You're stuck.
You're stuck forever.
Yeah. And they have all this dirt on you, and it's very hard to get out. And because the way, again, that the contracts are all written, it is very hard to get out. Now, you're encouraged to bring your friends and family into Scientology.
Yeah.
And if they refuse, they are considered enemies, and you are to disassociate from them.
Cool.
So now you're isolated.
Right.
From the world.
Right.
You're isolated from your family. And if for one day you wake up and realize like, oh, I'm in a religion created by a guy who is a sci-fi writer. I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Like you cannot get out. Because they make communication in and out very difficult. And you are so heavily indoctrinated being on that ship and being in that organization. You don't get access to the internet. You don't get access to media. You get access to nothing on the outside. And so, and unfortunately, a lot of people in the Sea Org, it's multi-generational.
Oh, wow.
So it's
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Which is also interesting because they don't want you to have children. They don't want you to have a family. Like they want you dedicated to
the organization. Huh. So I guess the people who are in it for multiple generations, they're just people who maybe already had kids and jump in after that. Like,
in Leah Remini's situation, her mother joined as an adult and brought her kids in with her. And then essentially Leah and her sister grew up in the Sea Org.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
But they also most of the time they were alone.
Yeah.
They were left like they separate almost the kids from the adults, and the children are pretty much left to raise themselves.
Wow.
It's wild. It's wild. So you got the normal path, you got the Sea Org path, and then you have the celebrity path. So that's typically what we see. So, John Travolta, Tom Cruise.
I know Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah. Celebrities are a little bit different. Like they are used as PR.
Yeah.
So they get treated like royalty. Like celebrities. They pretty much can say and do whatever they want. They get invited to special events. They have their own, it's called Celebrity Center. It's the big blue building in LA.
Interesting.
If you've ever seen that. And, everyday people cannot interact really with the celebrities. But they also do a little bit of this auditing. So they get a bunch of dirt on the celebrities.
Oh.
And so that's why that's how they get stuck.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, if this comes out, like my career is ruined or whatever. Or they have all these secrets on them.
Interesting.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It is terrifying. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
But it's terrifying.
I listen to stuff like that and it just blows my mind that we as human beings are that gullible, but we really are. Like Scientology is drawing enough people to still be sustainable. Apparently, their marketing is good enough to where folks are showing up and participating in all of this, and just hearing someone describe all of this out loud makes me think, like, how do people get to the place where they're like, oh, this is fine, this is normal?
So exactly. And that was where, when I read her book and then I watched Going Clear, like I kept diving in because I wanted to understand that question. Like, how does someone get into this? How does someone stay in this? Like, I was so interested. I'm like, what is the psychology here? Like, how do people get interested in this? How do they get involved? How do they stay? I mean, there are still people who just don't, I don't have another way of saying it, just don't pay attention.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, and honestly, I can kind of fall into that bucket.
Sure.
It's like, I kind of knew about Scientology. I'd heard it be called a religion, but I just never thought about it. You know, a lot of it is people they'll walk by a Scientology building, and a lot of times they just have people standing outside and, you know, with pamphlets and things like that, and just talk to you, like, and they have it down to a science of asking the right questions to kind of get you thinking, and that's how a lot of cults operate.
Yeah.
They find that vulnerability and they exploit it.
Yeah.
And Scientology just does the same thing. And they've had to evolve over time because, you know, as the internet comes up, but they have taught their parishioners, is what they call them, that the news media is fake, that it's not to be trusted, psychology is not to be trusted, doctors are not to be trusted. Like, it is Scientology, it is their teachings, and that is the way to go, and that is the right. And I can definitely see where, if you're someone who is just trying to find somewhere to belong, or you're in pain, and you just, like, you have someone who has an answer.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really not difficult. You know, it's just, oh yeah, I'm going to learn about this, and they really drive their purpose as clearing the world. So they have a tendency to they have these annual, like, gala events, and they're propaganda events, and they talk about how they go to disaster areas and pass out water, and they say, oh yeah, there's millions of Scientologists out there already, and really it's like maybe 20,000 people.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, who's going to refute them?
Right.
You know, because again, they're telling them not to believe the internet and not to believe the media. And any outside, pretty much anyone who speaks against Scientology is therefore an enemy, and you need to disassociate from them.
Right.
And not listen to them. You know, it's very brilliantly done. I'll be honest. And
terrifying.
It is. And until you start to question certain things, now a lot of people get to a point where they want to stay in, but they're starting to question things, which starts to get real murky. And if you push so far, Scientology actually has its own prison.
Yeah. I remember a little bit about this.
They call it a rehabilitation force or something like
crazy.
That. But it's essentially a prison. And you go in there and you are tortured.
Yeah.
Until you finally conform. It's intense. It is. That's probably very illegal, but because it's hidden behind this this like religion label. And then it's gross, to be honest. Like, they managed to get religion status. They managed to be tax exempt. So that means all the hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars that they are basically taking from people and ruining their lives, tax exempt.
Right. Yeah.
And they're getting away with it. And they have a lot of protections under that status because of the lines between church and state.
Yeah.
And they have been clever enough, again, to have that legal branch
Mm-hmm.
that they will just attack until people stop looking into it.
Wow.
So that goes back to when you were talking about Shelly Miscavige.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Shelly and Leah were friends. Now, Shelly is David Miscavige's wife. David Miscavige took over the organization after L. Ron Hubbard passed
Okay.
or left his body. And she was a top official in the Sea Org. And she was last seen in 2007.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. So around 2007, so around the Tom Cruise, Katie Holmes wedding, Leah was, asking around, poking around, like, hey, like Shelly should be here.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else is here. Where's Shelly? And she was pretty much silenced.
Wow.
And that's when she kind of really started pulling away from the church because she's like, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where is she? She wouldn't just disappear. It's wild. And I don't want to go down the whole conspiracy theory situation, but it is definitely an organization that, my personal opinion, it needs to be dismantled.
Oh,
it needs
absolutely.
It is a cult.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to lose its tax exempt status because it is hurting people.
Yeah.
It is destroying people's lives. If you ever watch the Aftermath on A&E, I mean, they interview people who have escaped.
Yeah.
And their stories. And, there's one, her name is Claire, heartbreaking story. She was a Sea Org member, and her husband had gotten pregnant, and the rank that she was at the Sea Org, she was pretty much forced into having an abortion
Good grief.
because they just did not want children like it in the Sea Org. Like it's awful. And the disassociation, the brainwashing, the propaganda. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. I haven't known a lot about it, but I'm always fascinated by these organizations that, seem like they're founded on such wobbly, like completely ridiculous principles. But there are people who are craving community enough and craving purpose enough and craving, direction enough to be like, yeah, I'll give this a try.
Yeah.
And it's hard to like entirely fault their parishioners because there's so much strategy here.
Yeah, exactly. They're not the ones that are, they're the ones that are suffering,
Right.
and they don't know
Yeah.
that they're suffering.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of cults operate.
Right.
Under the guise of like, you have a purpose. We have a purpose for you. You're doing good things. You're a good person. Like, and they feed into whatever that insecurity or vulnerability is. And as long as they can kind of keep that alive within you, that they can pretty much do whatever they want.
That's
it's yeah.
Well, and again, this is like we're not experts on world religions or anything like that, but to have something like this that from the outside looking in feels so blatantly toxic and so obviously wrong, it's hard to believe that stuff like this exists on the scale that Scientology does. But here they are. I mean, and they certainly seem, because of all of their real estate assets and because of the celebrity support and followings, they seem kind of dug in. Like it seems. I mean,
their
PR
anywhere. Is amazing.
Yeah.
One thing I found interesting. So I had mentioned earlier, they go and do disaster relief, and then they show videos of people passing out bottles of water. It'll be literally like 4 or 5 people in a truck and they'll go and pick up a couple cases of water and they'll pass them out on video and then leave.
Right.
And they act like they've just done all of this work just to save all these people. Like,
Look, we're better than the Red Cross. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's all PR. It's all strategy. It's all honestly psychology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, yeah. But it's an organization. It is a business. It's an organization, and it's run by a narcissist. And this man is evil. Like you can learn up about him, watch videos. Like he puts on a good face in front of the public, but this man is like evil incarnate. Again, who has an entire legal team?
Right.
I understand having legal representation, and I know the Catholic Church has needed legal representation. Whether good, bad, or indifferent, you still have to have legal representation in a defense.
Right.
I know that you mentioned the Mormon Church. The Mormon Church took litigation against the HBO series Big Love.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So at the very end of Big Love, there is a scene where they show a lot of their sacred temple customs kind of behind the veil. And those are very sacred ceremonies for Mormons. And the Mormon community was furious that stuff was basically being shown to the world. And I guess it was pretty accurate, but they had legal representation against HBO for basically kind of portraying that for the world to see.
Right.
But when you have an entire legal staff, like an entire department that is basically created for PR, for litigation, for how to attack people legally, and they outright lie. They're great at, the legalese, and the church does not participate in X, Y, and Z.
Right. We don't condone the actions of blah blah blah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, well, you got a whole bunch of people who have left your organization in very dramatic ways, who say very much the opposite, and but these people, like, it is a big deal, especially like with the aftermath. It's a big deal for these people to come forward, and talk about their experiences. Like, it puts a target on their back, because now Scientology is going to be harassing these people, trying to get them to shut up or recant their stories or like whatever. And they are relentless.
I mean, maybe if you're going to attach yourself to any sort of religious or spiritual set of practices, maybe don't attach yourself to something that you are fearing ever having to get out of. Like I feel like that's sound advice. Maybe go
with something that's been around a while,
right? Like longer than the 1950s.
Yeah.
It's and again, I understand. Like I get how people can look at something like this and be like, I'll give it a try. But I really am. It makes me angry to think about the predatory behavior involved in just capitalizing on people's insecurities and loneliness and
it's awful,
discomfort and all of that. Like it, and unfortunately, it's not hard to draw some parallels between those behaviors and even the behaviors of some other major religions and things like that, of just kind of bringing people in and helping them find a home in exchange for money and resources and things. Now, I'm being very reductive in that statement, and I don't mean to be, but the reality is, it's if someone is just not knowledgeable about the way most religious practices work, and they've watched the Mission Impossible movies, and they're like, well, Tom Cruise is in this thing, so maybe I'll give that a whirl. I see how people could walk through the door really looking to do something beneficial for themselves and then just fall into a massive trap. And this to me reads like one of those things where by the time you've figured out what sort of bad decision you've made, it's too late. You're already invested. You're already in this community, and so it's sad to think about the people who are going to fall for this kind of thing.
Which is why, like, I kind of wanted to talk about this topic just because, one, it's fascinating.
Oh, it's very interesting.
And two, like, the good thing is I think that Scientology is losing momentum.
Oh, I would hope so.
Again, they like to tout their numbers in the millions, and it's dwindling.
Right.
But it needs to be done.
Right.
Like, it needs to be finished. They need to lose their, and so that's what a lot of Leah Remini and Mike Rinder were trying to put out in the world. Like, they were two. So Leah Remini is obviously a celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Rinder was a top-ranking official in the Sea Org, and part of his role in there was to create the PR
Wow.
around, and he was treated horribly, but he was kind of like David Miscavige's like number 2.
Wow.
For a long time until he left.
Right.
And he paid handsomely for that, for leaving. But Leah and Mike started the Aftermath series to start bringing to light the way that people were being treated and how they were being exploited, and all the money and the dissociation, and it's just ruining people's lives.
Right.
And people are afraid to leave, and people are afraid to speak out. And so they were trying to bring a lot of that forward and bring a lot of that to light. And, then Scientology shut down that. They also had a podcast, Scientology shut down.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And they continued with the Aftermath Foundation. They'll have like little business cards, and they'll go to, bookstores where Dianetics is, and they'll just stick those, cards in there that just to try to get people to like think twice. Unfortunately, Mike Rinder passed like not that long ago.
Oh, wow.
And Leah and Mike were like brother and sister. They were very close. And yeah, he I think he had cancer. And but they were doing really great work.
Yeah.
And I was a little nervous that they were going to lose momentum with that. But again, Scientology's making it very difficult for them.
Yeah.
I mean, which makes sense, but at the same time, as long as they have that tax exempt status, they literally can get away with murder.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently so. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, like if we had something that we wanted you to hear, other than just this is interesting and we're fascinated by it and all that, is maybe when things are weird, it's time to ask questions. Like if you, a listener, if you are hearing any of this and you're involved with any sort of, spiritual system, religious system, whatever, and you are starting to have questions around all of that, you're within your rights to lean into those questions and sort things out for yourself and all of that.
Your religious organization should not be demanding money from you.
Right.
It's one thing to ask. Is another thing to say you cannot move further in this spiritual path unless you give us money for these courses.
Right.
If your religious organization is making you max out credit cards.
Right. Yeah. Sign up for new ones. Like,
exactly.
You out of your mind.
If your religious organization is requiring that you confess or you give up your deepest, darkest secrets in order to, again, continue on your spiritual path, that's a problem.
Yeah.
If your organization is telling you that your family and friends are enemies for not believing in what you believe, I definitely, if any of these things feel, like they're hitting a nerve, I would just really take a look at kind of the organization that you're in and why you're a part of it. Those are really the big indicators of a cult.
Yeah. Well, and I hope we can do more cult discussion because I'm kind of fascinated by all this stuff.
Oh yeah,
too.
like there's NXIVM.
Yeah, I was gonna say NXIVM next. Yeah. I watched that whole docuseries.
Yep. Yeah. So there's Nixium.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of Canadian
Yeah.
based. A little bit here, along in the U.S. along the Canadian border. There was One Taste.
I remember One Taste.
Yeah. Which was sexually exploitative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's several that are just
Bizarre.
And here's the thing. Some of these start out with great intentions.
Sure. Yeah.
They start with great intentions. They do want to help people. It's just there comes a line, and when that line gets crossed is when things really start to go off the rails. And a lot of it is, you have a very charismatic leader, if you will, or front person who has good intentions and is like, oh, I think that I've got some concept idea, whatever, that can really help other people.
Right.
And then it's kind of like they start to monetize it. And then there's a little bit of narcissism that kind of comes into that. And then they start enjoy being worshipped. And it just kind of falls apart from there. Funny enough, my husband swears I'm going to be a cult leader. Because I come up with these ideas and he's like, that sounds like a cult.
Yeah.
So I had one and I'm still like,
I'm breathless to hear it, honestly.
Okay. I had this idea of like, what if church, instead of church being like going to a building, once or twice a week with and kind of being the same rigmarole every time, what if church was more like a AA meeting?
Yeah.
Like, what if we all came together in a dingy, like somewhere,
Yeah.
or a school gym or something where we come together as broken people,
Right. Yeah.
as everyday people, as you come with your full self to a group, a supportive group of people who also show up as themselves and talk through the things that you're struggling with, that you need support on, that you're anxious about, or, thoughts that you have, ideas that you have, like a support group, essentially, of people. And, we don't need the Bible. We don't need worship. Like, we don't need any of those things. We just need a group of people that we can be ourselves around and talk through the things that we are actually struggling with.
Right.
I would get so much more out of having like real authentic conversations and sitting down with people and really talking through the hard stuff.
Right. Well, and I think, so to your point, like I think that's a way better use of most of our energy and time than just attending a church service with the consumer mentality of, I'm just going to sit here and kind of receive what this is. And what I love about a group model like that is it encourages participation that I think doesn't exist in large church formats. And I'm saying this with some experience because, like, I have worked for churches, multiple churches. I have been a part of a lot of different religious practices, spiritual practice organizations, and like I've seen from the inside what the motivating factors are for a lot of religious bodies and churches in general. And we live in North Texas, which is the land of the mega church. There are massive organizations here with serious staff and serious payroll and all of that. And so for me, like, there are house church formats that follow a lot of that kind of principle, where there is some sort of leadership involved, but that leadership is really just a conversation facilitator. It's not anybody who's like preparing content. And then in other parts of the world, that kind of model is pretty popular
Mhm.
because a lot of folks are done with the whole sit in the pew and
Yeah.
just listen. They want to feel like they're a part of a community and participating in that community, and other people are doing the same.
Yeah.
And that has a huge amount of draw to me right now today. Like
Yeah.
that, I
Well,
love that.
and two, like I understand that there's like the like Sunday school model,
Hmm.
where you go to the main service and then you all kind of branch off into your groups. But even in that, that's not what I'm thinking
Hmm.
when I'm talking about this, because you can still put on a mask
Oh,
in those.
sure. And
Like
most people do.
you can't let a lot of those people know the real you.
Right.
Like you can't get into some of the nitty gritty, like hard things. And the hard things I'm talking about are those things that make you feel shame.
Right. Yeah.
Not I'm struggling with this illness. Someone is hurting. Like what? Like no, I'm talking about those things that you hide from yourself, even that you can be open with a group of people about. To me, that is church.
Yeah.
That is like I am self-examining. I am, I do believe in like let's just stick with Christianity. I believe in the teachings of Jesus in the New Testament, not so much the old stuff, but like I believe the intent here, and I'm feeling shame around some of these things, and I just really do want to embody or believe in those teachings of Jesus Christ. And I mean, to me, that would be so much more effective than going to church. In these mega churches, I'm sorry, like that is all to me personally. It's performative.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You cannot, I can't have community with 3,000 other people.
Right.
And even then, and even in these like Sunday school settings, it's cliquey. These people are putting on a front. Like when they go home, you see a completely different side of that person than what you see on church on Sunday. And to me, that's helping no one.
Right. And it's all it's really doing is encouraging the continuation of those masks. And I think that's a huge piece of why there's been such a shift in church attendance in the last 20 or 30 years. And there's actually metrics showing that in some categories it's ticking back up. But the interesting thing is I think a lot of people had so much exposure to that shame and that guilt that you're talking about. And they're like, I don't want this. Like I don't need guilt and shame as a side order to my entree of hard things. Like I've already got all these hard things in front of me. I already feel some level of personal guilt about them in the first place. So why would I then take these problems to people who are going to judge me for them anyway and let them into that part of my life? Like that doesn't make any sense. And I think a lot of people moved away from church environments largely because of that shame. And where I grew up, the systems I grew up in were steeped in something called purity culture, which was its own version of shame and guilt and all of that.
Yeah.
And I've spent years and years of my life unpacking and unlearning a lot of what I really grabbed onto hard when I was a teenager. And yeah, I wish that was different. I wish I could talk to 15-year-old me and be like, dude, you really need to change course here. But at the same time, like the nice part about it at this point is I now have the experiences and the language to offer to other people who have had experiences in those systems, who want to be separated from those systems, but don't really know how or where to start or what to do next. And so, I do think that piece of it is helpful. I think that by and large, we're not equipped as individuals to really pursue those things, because what we're taught from early on is, if you want to practice any form of spirituality, here are the systems you have to sign up for. Here are the structures that you have to abide by, and the rules and guidelines that have to be a big part of your life. And I
sign this legalese.
right, yeah. But there are even churches. There are non-denominational churches in North Texas. A big one that's not that far from my house, where if you are going to be a member of that church, you have to sign a code of ethics. I'm not kidding, and it's a church you've heard of, and like you have to basically say, yeah, I will follow this very stringent list of rules, and I will endorse this other very stringent set of beliefs. And included in those beliefs is people basically saying that they do not endorse or condone any sort of lifestyle except for a heterosexual lifestyle.
So you have to sign off to be performative.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and to me, I'm sorry, like, and the situation that I described is, almost like an AA meeting. Like, I would get so much more out of being able to like be in a safe space where I can put light on the shadows,
Mm-hmm.
In the hidden corners and the shame and the guilt and kind of being able to get a lot of that off my chest in a safe space with people I know care about me and are also full of faults and guilt and shame. And like, I feel like then being able to get a lot of that weight off would make me more aligned with the things that I believe Jesus wanted to focus on as most important. Loving our neighbors as ourselves. Right. I can do that so much better if I can get the guilt and the shame off of my chest. But to me, what you just described is no, we need to add shadows.
Right.
We need to add to that shame bucket. Like, and then I feel like maybe that is why we're seeing so much hypocrisy.
Yeah. And all these church leaders just unraveling. Because
people are just torn. They're like, oh, I need to do X, Y, and Z in order to, be perfect and fall in line with God and Jesus and all. Like,
yeah,
it's just wild to me because what you just described is just the complete opposite. If anything, it is exacerbating the problem.
Yeah. For sure.
But I don't know. If you want to listen to me, because my husband thinks I'm going to be a cult leader.
Right.
So
right. This is actually just our intro to the indoctrination that you'll find on this podcast. We're just going to trend towards
our religion called Premeditated Opinions.
Right. Yeah. We'll get that 501c3 status. We'll be unstoppable.
Well, that's it for Premeditated Opinions, where the thoughts were fully baked and only mildly regrettable. If you enjoyed today's episode, congrats on having truly excellent taste in podcasts and opinions. Following us on YouTube and Instagram is a quick and easy way to support us. So if you liked literally anything about today's episode, please like and subscribe.
Also, send this to someone who needs to feel seen, dragged, or both. We'll be back next week with more unsolicited insight and emotionally responsible spiraling. And until then, please stay hydrated and behave yourself in the comments. But if you don't, at least make us laugh.